Duke taking on Houston in one of the matchups. Blue Devils a 4.5-point dog against the Cougs. That's Duke's largest underdog role in a tourney game since 1994 when they were 5.5-point dogs against Arkansas in the national title game. This is also Duke's first time as a dog in the tourney since the 2016 edition. All right, looking into this game now, Joe, which side do you see value?
I like Houston. We're posting 4.5. That's the highest number in the market. You can find 4. You can even shop around and maybe still find a 3.5 somewhere. I think this is a good buy low spot for Houston, converging with a good sell high spot on Duke. What did we just see from Houston last time out? They go to overtime against Texas A&M, and then everyone starts to react. Oh, I don't know. Houston may not be as good as we thought. Then, meanwhile, everyone doubted Duke coming into the tournament. They blow out James Madison, and now everyone's back on the train. So you've got to sell high with Duke. You got to buy low with Houston. Look at that matchup with Duke when they blew out James Madison. 52% from the field, 50% from three range. That's not going to happen against Houston. That's going to regress. Then the question is, do they have another trick up their sleeve to get by the Cougs? I don't think so. I like Houston here.
All right, let's see if our friend Dallin agrees with you, Joe. Yes or no?
Yeah, I love Houston here, and that number, so Joe, to your point, it may keep coming down in the favor of Duke given the public nature of that team, and people are seeing points for the Blue Devils, and they're remembering that last performance against JMU. This Houston defense is the story here. They are physical, and they are all over you. Duke does not really deal well with physicality. Now, what is going to be critical is how this game was called, because JMU has a similar style of defense. Edwards picks up 2 fouls, their best player, Sun Belt Player of the Year in that conference. Within the first minute and a half of the game, that changed the complexion of the game. The 3 people in black and white will help determine this game. If it is allowed to be played the way Houston's played all year, Duke could be in trouble, like they were against Carolina twice, like they were against Arizona, physical teams that can match them in terms of talent. If it is called tight and there is a quick whistle, get on your live wagers, because you may want to start to lean into the Blue Devils early because Houston will struggle to adjust, and that benefits a more open game, more scoring, and a Duke's talent might be able to play bigger role in this game on the offensive side of the ball. So how it's officiated is absolutely huge to me, but I'm on the Cougs pre-flop.
I'm glad you brought up that officiating because my gamble, fellas, is that the officials will not let Kelvin Sampson and Houston play as physically on defense as they want to. You also mentioned something as well. North Carolina, pay attention. If you like Duke, ESPN BET is the best place to go and bet them because that's the highest number in the market. You're getting 4.5 there, which will be valuable. You look at Iowa State as the closest comparison to Houston in the Sweet 16 because of their defense. Illinois shot 29 free throws last night. They only made 15. 23 fouls called on Iowa State, the most by any team in the Sweet 16 last night. So my gamble is officiating will mimic that for Houston in this matchup, and especially if you're a Duke backer. NC State, the Wolfpack won 7 games in 12 days to get to this point, but find themselves as 7.5-point underdogs as they look for their first Elite 8 win since 1986 under Jimmy Valvano. Dallin going to kick us off with this one. You think the Cinderella Wolfpack keep this one close?
What I wouldn't give for Kevin Keats to be running around looking for somebody to hug, a la Jimmy V 41 years ago. But I don't think that's going to quite happen here. I do like them in this game with the value here. I think you're giving me 7.5 points and a team that I think can hang in there and maybe win the game. Like, this is an NC State team that's playing on fire right now, and DJ Burns and Oso Ighodaro are the matchup in this game. Now, they may not always be guarding each other, but how each team schemes for each other is critical. Ighodaro can step himself away from the basket, make plays on the short roll, knock down a 3. Everybody's fallen in love with the dancing bear that is DJ Burns and his quick feet. Do they double him? Do they single cover him? Is it Ighodaro that's tasked with guarding him, and how can that exploit some advantages or maybe get him in foul trouble? On the other end, how does Mohamed Diarra factor into this for an NC State? We'll wait and see. I think it's going to be a great chess match between Coach Keats and Shaka Smart, but those two bigs I think will have an influential impact, and what guards can step up will help determine this game. But I do like the Wolfpack. Give me the points, and maybe not Keatsy running around in Phoenix looking for somebody to hug, though.
Yeah, I lean with you there, Dallin. This stat stood out. We've got from our Sports and Information group since 2012, double-digit seeds in the round of 16, 17-8 ATS. Very compelling stat there for a double-digit seed like NC State. I guess Dallin is subscribing to the Fortenbaugh rules of March Madness because he's taking a dog because he thinks they can win this game.
Yeah.
Are you with him, or are you looking elsewhere to wager this match?
No. A lot of personal issues with NC State. Lost a lot on NC State through the ACC tournament early on. Told myself I would abstain. On the side, because if I bet on them now, obviously I'm going to mush them. Yeah. And if I keep betting against them, I'm going to keep losing. So we'll play the total. We'll go over. I think we get a little bit of a shootout here. Styles make fights. What does Marquette want to do? They want to launch the three-pointer. Where does NC State struggle on defense? the three-pointer. Now, conversely, where does NC State want to eat? The mid-range, down low, that's where they generate most of their scoring. Marquette, good defending that area of the court. Not great, good. They're above the national average, but they're not elite. Tyler Kolek's return to Marquette has been huge for the offense. 2 games in this tournament, 38 total points, 22 total assists. I don't think the books have factored that in enough when it comes to the total. We're sitting around 150.5. I'd play the over here.
Back with you on ESPN Bet Live. The other #1 seed in action tonight. Men's side, Purdue and Zach Edey. Boilermakers, 5.5-point favorites in Detroit, taking on Gonzaga. The largest underdog role for the Zags in 5 tournaments. Purdue, 1-5 ATS in the Sweet 16 under Matt Painter. All right, Joe Fortenbaugh, Mark Few, or Matt Painter?
Mark Few.
Okay.
This one. We'll play the dog here. I think this is a little bit high at 5.5. I thought it was going to be somewhere around 4. Purdue has been an absolute wagon in the tournament so far, and I think that's playing an effect. They have 2 wins by 28, by 39 points. So suddenly, because of those 2 wins against inferior opposition, everybody is assuming they don't have any problems anymore. They're a damn good basketball team, but they are not flawless. Enter Gonzaga, a step up in class based on what they've played so far this tournament, a team that is very well coached. Mark Few's had a week basically to get ready for this game. They played earlier this season. It was semi-tightly contested, but Gonzaga ended up losing by double digits. They only shot 18% from the field in that game, or I should say from three-point range. They picked that up. They're covering this number. It's too high in my opinion. I'd play Gonzaga.
Let's turn to our friend Dallin Cuff yet again. Same question, Mark Few or Matt Painter?
What kind of Sophie's choice, kind of binary choice we have to have here? I'm picking the team, not necessarily the coach, but I am leaning towards the Boilers here. I don't love this game for some of the reasons Joe said, but when these 2 teams played the first time, this is a much different Gonzaga team. Purdue was kind of the team we kind of knew they would be, and then Lance Jones gets tossed in the mix. Gonzaga has changed. They've developed Ben Gregg in the starting lineup. That said, I think you need guards to get up and really affect Braden Smith and Foster Loyer, and I don't think these guards, and defensively, Gonzaga is how they're built to really affect them. Remember, they played out in Maui, and Purdue won that game quite comfortably, although different. Braden Smith, I still think can have the impact he wants to have in this game, as can Lance Jones and as can Foster Loyer. When you get up in them, when you pressure them, when you speed them up, when you turn them over, they can struggle, and that affects their ability to get the ball to Zach Edey. You know he's probably going to get his 20 and 10. Graham Ike is going to do the best he can to slow him down, but I don't think you're going to slow that man down. It's can you take away their guards? Can you cut off the service, if you will, to use a soccer term? Not sure Gonzaga can do that, so I will reluctantly lay the 5.5. I do think the over is in play here, too.
All right, my friend, I love you, but I'm going to break the tie by agreeing with Joe because mostly of this fact. Purdue's the last team of the Final Four I had alive in my bracket, so it stands to reason that they will soon suffer the same fate that Auburn, Kentucky, and North Carolina have suffered in finding my bracket graveyard. So that's my
good a logic
there.
as anybody.
That's my handicap right there. So when your bracket's been as bad as mine, continue to lean into that. I had Purdue going to the championship game, which means they're going to get bounced here in the Sweet 16.
Oh, Purdue, the kiss of death.
I do think 5.5, though, in all seriousness. That's a lot to give this Gonzaga team. They're good. Tennessee, a slight favorite against Creighton tonight in the Midwest region. History favoring the Vols in this one, as teams like Creighton, coming off a multiple OT win in the tournament, are just 4-12 outright their next game since the year 2000. Dallin going to start us off here. You've discussed this Tennessee team all season long on this show. Think they move on here?
I'm long on Tennessee, as you mentioned, and I still have a plus 750 from early in the tournament to get to the final. I like their team, but here, I do like the points. I think this is kind of a coin flip game. These 2 teams are very, very good. Obviously, there's a little more depth with Tennessee. They still defend at a bit of a higher level. Creighton does not foul. They make foul shots. They have Ryan Kalkbrenner in the interior to help them defend. And if they're making threes, they can win this game. I think this is a really tight game. You're going to give me 3.5. That's important over the 1 possession mark. I'll take the Blue Jays in probably the most entertaining game tonight and the most, let's say, evenly contested game of the night.
This game has Fortenbaugh looks like an idiot potential written all over it, because all I ever talk about
Give it to me, baby.
Fading Rick Barnes this time of year. And now here I am on the opposite side of you, liking Tennessee in this matchup.
What?
I know. Here's what it comes down to. They were not good offensively at all in that game against Texas. 12% from deep. Well under 40% from the field. They couldn't hit water if they fell off a boat, and they still won that game by 5 points. What happens if they actually get hot for a little bit of a stretch offensively? Because we know they have the chops to play on defense. Creighton generates a lot of offense from the three-point line. That is where Tennessee is very good defensively, top 30 in the nation. So I'm looking to Tennessee. Ultimately, the moment I jump on, this is where Barnes will probably be Barnes, and I'm going to look like an idiot. And we'll be back here tomorrow morning talking about it. But that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at.
I got to say, I really feel buoyed by this now, folks. I might go even heavier knowing that it's not that you're a mush. You've been Mr. Creighton. You've been Mr. Creighton throughout the tournament, talking about how much you love Creighton and you love Creighton and da-da-da-da-da. And Fadrick Barnes, and now we're going to flip? I don't like the look of that. So I like that I'm the side that I'm on the Blue Jays, and we may even just amp that up a little bit.
I also like North Carolina a whole lot. That's not really looking all that great right now, both from a betting perspective or a bracket perspective.
I'm not going to break the tie in this one because I'm approaching the total, which was 143.5. It's now up to 145.5. I'm going to take the under here.
All right.
Not just because 8 of the last 10 Tennessee games have come in under the total. I do expect there to be some positive shooting regression. I just don't see this matchup with Creighton, who relies so heavily on their starters for minutes. They're not a deep team, turning into a track meet. I think Creighton's going to want to try and keep this game slow. They're not a fast-paced team at all, and Tennessee's comfortable playing that way. Rick Barnes' team can win offensively, and they can win with their defense as well. So 145.5 just seems a bit high for a Creighton team coming off double overtime and relying so heavily on those starters who play a lot of minutes.
Good news for you, the pace will be nothing like what you saw in Alabama-UNC last night, which was like, anyone want to come up for some air for 5 seconds?
An absolute track meet.
The cardio of them, outstanding cardio.
All right.